Thank you.
Again, I'm Beth Gilligan, Deputy Director here at the Coolidge with our filmmaker, Halfdan Ullmann Tøndel. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I first just want to congratulate you on the film. I know it was Norway's official entry for Best International Feature at the Oscars. It won the Camera d'Or Prize at the Cannes Film Festival for Best First Feature. And you're here in the States because you're nominated for a Directors Guild Award for Best First Feature, which is incredible. So first, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We were speaking a bit beforehand, and you talked about how long it took to make the film, and also your reaction while watching it with a room full of strangers at the Cannes Film Festival. Can you share that with the crowd here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I started with this idea in 2016, and then it took me, because of financing, it took a really long time to make it happen. It took about 7 years to, like, before we were standing on the first day of set, you know, shooting, and it was a lot of rejections. People were like, or like the financiers in Norway were not convinced, to be honest. Dancing in movies, is that possible? And some of you may agree, I don't know. In any ways, it was really magical, but also very, very intense process of making the film, doing the shoot. It was only 21 days, which is very little. And it's so many like technical, emotional scenes. And but of course, when it got into the Cannes Film Festival and we screened it there, and yeah, it has been an incredible ride being there. And Renate has, you know, I wrote a role for her. She has been part of the project the whole time. During the financing, my career, you know, went downhill and hers went uphill.
Yes.
So, and actually, you know, at the lowest point, and I was ready to throw this project in the garbage. Then she won the prize at Cannes for worst person in the world. And the same night she sent me a text message, imagine how great this is for our projects. So that was, you know, her support in this and her moral support, and we have been, you know, really close friends for 10 years, and yeah, it's a special relationship.
Yeah, she's absolutely extraordinary in this film. I think, like many people here, I'd seen her in Worst Person in the World and A Different Man. I see is she credited as an executive producer as well in the film?
Yeah.
So can you talk about, was this something where you said you wrote it for her? Did you hand her the script? Was it all collaborative? You know, because it's really just an absolute, you know, powerhouse of performance.
I mean, we worked together on a short film in 2016, and that short film was only like 2 days of shooting, but it felt like a lifetime after we had done it. It felt really special, and it was an extreme like creative chemistry between us. So right after that I was like, we have to do something bigger one day, and she said immediately yes. And then I had this idea of this character. I didn't know her name. I didn't know in which universe she was going to be in, but I want you to play her. And that was Elizabeth. And at that time I didn't know, you know, that she was going to be in a school, but I knew her, you know. And she said yes to that in 2016 or 2017, and of course I wrote the role and the universe, you know, for Renate.
Yes. And I mean, the rest of the cast is absolutely pitch perfect as well. Sarah is an actress, Ellen Dorrit Peterson. And how, I'm just curious as to how you sort of created, because the dynamics between the characters, it feels so authentic. And, you know, how did you sort of bring your cast together, especially over a period of 21 days to sort of create that feeling and that familiarity? I
mean, first of all, I love working with actors, and I'm quite adjustable on how to, because every actor needs different things. But with this film, we did a lot of rehearsals because we needed, you know, it's so technical, some of the stuff, so we needed that to work. But like Renata hate rehearsals, the principal love rehearsals. You know, it was kind of difficult to make it happen in a good way for everyone, because some actors doesn't like to rehearse because they want to, you know, keep the energy alive, and I respect that. So we have to, you know, so some scenes in the rehearsals, you know, some of the actors really played it out, and Renata played it really dry, and I was like, oh shit, is this going to work? But the most important thing for me is that every character has their own truth, and they're fighting for it, and they don't know the other actors', you know, perspective. So, and this film also really is about fighting for your perspective and your truth, and so I kept a lot of secrets. I had a lot of secrets with every actor that they could have for themselves and with me, and that they kept from the other characters and actors. And I think that was a good thing here. Like me and Ellen, who played Sarah, we have our version of the story. And I love doing Q&As because with them, because they are like, they have two separate versions of what the film is, and I love that.
Yeah, and speaking of characters, I feel like the school in this film is almost like a character in and of itself. Was this shot on one location? Is this what you sort of envisioned? Because the architecture, I mean, you shoot it so marvelously. How did you find it, and how did you sort of incorporate it into the film?
That was a long process. Because we didn't have the money to like build a studio.
Yeah.
So, and we were supposed to shoot it in around the capital in Norway, Oslo, and I looked at like 300 schools, but none of them like was close to my imagination. And then we found this school on the west coast of Norway, and there we also could like do stuff. So we could paint the corridors, we could build the bathrooms and build the classrooms more like we wanted it to be, and like the vision of the school was very clear for me from the moment I started writing the script, from the moment I decided that this film was supposed to be one location. I mean, I remember sleeping over at my school when I was like 12 years old, and I was really struck by the feeling in the school after hours, you know, when it's silent.
How did you get, is this a Norwegian thing that happens a lot?
Maybe it's a strange Norwegian thing, I don't know. We did it just once, but I still remember the feeling going into the school, and it was empty and mysterious and silent, and I went to this really old school as well, so it was like the 100-year-old school soul of the building was coming alive, and for me, that feeling, that mysterious feeling was really important in this, and also the contrast in the school after hours. It's like in the day it's so much life and energy and kids running around and light and things like this, but in the evening it's like the complete opposite. So yeah,
no, it's excellent. You know, in regards to the screenplay, a couple of observations. One thing is you sort of, it's almost like peeling back the layers of an onion, because there are certain elements, just in talking to the cast and having secrets, there are certain things that are revealed throughout. So I'm sort of interested in how you came to structure it that way. And also I just thought that the dialogue, and especially in the early scenes, it was so interesting because the younger teacher, when she's trying to explain the situation to Elizabeth, and she won't quite confront it head on, and she's speaking so euphemistically. Just can you talk a bit about writing that, and you know, it was so interesting and it added such depth to the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in a primary school myself for 3 years.
Okay.
So I was quite
on the ground experience.
I was quite inspired by how we handled conflicts. You know, how we didn't, or also how like the leaders wanted to show an illusion of leadership without any responsibility. Can you relate? And also like going around the edge of like the core of the story, and then of course, you know, the process by Kafka, you know, when allegations just keep escalating without any new proof actually coming on board. It's like I thought it was a great satirical premise, to be honest. Like they just talking a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a lot of talking without any content.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create this feeling of that we're going in circles, but still the allegations is escalating.
Yeah.
So writing a lot of words, but not so much like dynamics in it. That was like something I tried as a satirical thing, but not everyone see that.
Yeah. I think it succeeded. And you know, the visual style of the filmmaking is also quite remarkable. I think you really escalate the tension, and there are a lot of close-ups, and there's this sense of claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Were there other films you were drawing from? How did you come to create that sort of visual style for the film?
The visual style, I took a lot of inspiration from a lot of, you know, one location films or films that were mainly based in one location, like I mean Suspiria or Rosemary's Baby or The Celebration or 12 Angry Men, films like this. And I also wanted to create a visual language that had a lot of dynamics in it, that was kind of reactive to what I see as the TV series aesthetics, you know.
Yes, yes.
Trying to create a lot of different compositions in the same shot and things like that, and also creating this very claustrophobic sense with all the close-ups.
And the sound, certainly.
And the sound also, of course, the acoustic in the hallways and things like that was very important. I mean, the school in itself, it's so grateful for me as a director working with the sound in a school with the marble floors and the cello in the, you know, playing in the hallways and
all the fire alarms. I had a car alarm was going off on my street as I was coming up with questions, and it just felt very like true to life. I was like, it's that sense of, you know, constant noise and commotion. I mean, another thing that really lent itself to the atmosphere is the choreography of the two dance scenes with her and the janitor, and then at the end, and it. Especially the one at the end with the other parents, it's that and the laugh scene, I think, are notable examples. You're really kind of pushing audiences to the brink with their comfort level. Can you talk a little bit about the process of pulling those scenes together?
I mean, the laughing scene was.
How long was that? Did that clock? I feel like I read somewhere.
The scene itself, it's 10 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
The laughing is 7.
Yeah.
She lasts for 7 minutes.
And you feel it, yeah. Wow.
So the laughing scene, in the script it said she laughs for a long time, a very long time, a very long time. And then Renata asked me, like in 2017, how long is a long time? And I was like, 7 minutes or something. And she said, it's impossible. And I said, I think you can do it. And we never talked about the scene again.
Oh my gosh.
And then she came on set, really nervous about this scene. Of course, we had, you know, we shot it for 10 hours, that scene.
Wow.
And she had prepared really well, you know, finding a way as an actor to actually do it. But she had to make the laugh starting. So she asked the sound technician, because he's a very funny guy, to tell her a joke. Just to get her started.
Yeah.
And he told a joke, which is quite bad, but it's like, imagine a puffy jacket with only one puff. That was.
And that did it.
and then we shot it for 10 hours straight. And like before lunch, it was like acted. After lunch, it was real. And after lunch is what we kind of see. And then she got 5 days off after it.
I would think that
it was a crazy day.
Yeah. I want to leave some time for audience questions. I do want to ask you, your grandmother is a great friend and supporter of the Coolidge, the wonderful actress, and I should add filmmaker, because I don't think she gets enough credit for that. She's a really accomplished and terrific filmmaker in her own right. Halfdan Ullmann, can you talk about, has she seen the film and what her reaction has been?
Yeah, she saw it one time in the Norwegian premiere. And my mom actually thought she died after. God. She was in shock.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Oh, good.
And she really likes the film. Yeah. I mean, me and her has a great relationship. We don't discuss films so much, but we have a really tight relationship.
Yeah, well, we love her very much here. Yeah. She's a Coolidge Award honoree and has been here many times. I want to leave some time for people in the audience to ask some questions. Right in the front.
How do you research a lot of the psychological components that are present in this?
So the question is, how did you research a lot of the psychological components that are present in the film?
That I didn't research too much. That's, yeah, I mean, how personal should I be here? Yeah, but that's the truth, to be honest. It's like every of those things, it's really parts of, yeah, me, to be honest. The fire alarm and the nose bleeding and everything, and all the, yeah. I didn't research.
Back there, I see a question. So the question is about balancing humor and drama. Like there was a great line about, I showed Frozen and got flack for it. And but obviously you're dealing with serious and intense topics. Can you talk about that balance?
Yeah, I kind of watched the school system as the satirical component, and then the parents as the dramatical component. And the situation in itself, I mean, if it had happened, I mean, it's quite serious, but we don't know, you know? So I really liked the gray area, the premise in itself, you know, was it a play or was it abuse? We don't know for sure. So, but the fact that I could treat the premise as it was just like doctor's play, and things are blowing out of proportions, and then I could use the humor to kind of emphasize that. And then I could also say, but this could be really serious. It could, you know, be a signal of something abusive happening in the kids' homes. And then I could be dramatic. So I try to, you know, play with that string that the premise in itself kind of gave me. So, yeah.
And right over there? Okay, the question is about the Norwegian preoccupation with suffering. Your thoughts?
Oh, it's impossible to answer that question. I mean, I don't have an answer. No. I think maybe we have it too good in Norway, so we have to say that we suffer also a little bit, just to be like solidaric with the rest of the world. I don't know.
Over there. Okay, so about the dips into surrealism and how the movie was teaching him to watch it as it was going along. I think most people heard that question. It was stated much more eloquently than I'm rephrasing it.
That's a great question. Yeah, I did think about it. I wanted, for example, the first dance scene. I wanted it to be a kind of surprise for you, but also like a warning. From now on, everything can happen. You know, because first of all, it gave me a good feeling just with the dance in itself, but also the warning of unpredictability that it gave. That was really important to me. And we shot the film also chronologically, so it was also like the film happened, you know, as we went. The film actually turned out quite similar as we wrote it, or as I wrote it and as I imagined it. But still, I think that's a very interesting observation.
Yeah, did you shoot your short films that way?
No,
I mean,
no.
so because that's unusual to shoot chronologically.
Yeah. So it just felt really natural with this film, and just to keep track on everything. And we shot it on one location. We shot it on 16 millimeter, and I mean the crew didn't. I have to be honest. I don't think they understood the script so well. So they were like turning in the script when the dancing happened, and like some of the more abstract scenes happened. Like, have I read this? But they were like this great part of the discovery of the film as well, because then they filled it with so much like lively energy, you know. And so it was like almost we were like making the film as we went, and saying, okay, this is how we are going to do it now. This is how we're gonna show it now. Yeah.
I see a hand in the back over there. Okay, it's a question about the role of the janitor.
Yeah, it's a cleaner actually.
The cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the like main questions in the film, as it turned out, because he is the observer. He is the one who actually saw what happened. It's a little bit underplayed in the film. He's the guardian of the school, I imagined, but he's also kind of the victim of, because the film is also a lot about prejudice, you know, prejudice about women, about actors, about minorities, about cleaners, you know. And there's one scene in the film that is cut out when they say like he saw the whole thing, but we haven't really talked to him. And why they haven't talked to him is because he doesn't talk too well Norwegian. And this is actually, you know, directly inspired by an event when I worked at my primary school, where the cleaner had witnessed an incident between two kids, but none of the teachers and none of the leaders didn't want to talk to him because he didn't have the credibility. And I thought that was terrible. So I took the risk with this film of kind of doing the same thing. Like, because this is a film about prejudice, and making him the observer without the school talking to him in the film, but also without me talking to him in the film. And that could, of course, land both ways. So that's the honest answer to that one.
Okay, over there. Yeah, so about the genesis of the school setting and how the character of Elizabeth came to you before you knew the setting and the context.
No, I just thought, you know, the premise in itself with the two 6-year-old boys and what happened between them, and this mother who was willing to, you know, fight for her child with, you know, with every possible, you know, tactic. Mm-hmm. It felt like a good environment for her character to show her full potential of manipulation, of helplessness, of smartness, of everything she had to offer.
Okay, and we will do, I think, 2 more questions, just because it's probably like 3:30 in the morning in Norway, and you just flew in. Over there. So about the parallels between the bathroom scenes, the confrontations that happened in the bathroom between the boys and then Elizabeth and Sarah.
Yeah, it was definitely a point to have those scenes in the bathroom, because in the bathroom was also where the boys.
It was a great bathroom too. The tiles.
Yeah. we built that one. Yeah. So it was of course like a direct parallel, because there was the boys were found there. Yeah.
Okay, and then anything on this side of the, okay, I see a very eager hand over there. Okay, so improvising versus sort of what was on the page and choreography.
Almost nothing is improvised. I can't remember even one line that is improvised, to be honest. The first dance scene, it wasn't supposed to be that long. They showed me, we worked with a choreographer, Renate, and the choreographers showed me the dance like 5 days before shooting it, and it was 3.5 minutes instead of 30 seconds. And I was like, oh shit, this is great, I love it. I love dancing in films, so we put the whole thing in. The second dance it's really like written step by step. In the film, we worked with the choreographer to make it happen, and it was a really hard scene to shoot. It was a really hard scene to shoot. And yeah, because it's such a violent scene, so it was like emotionally super hard. But we did it like step for step. We did it with a choreographer, yeah, I think it's beautiful and violent, the last scene, but yeah, a lot of lessons learned.
Well, it's an extraordinary film. I can't believe it's your first feature film. I mean, congratulations on all the awards, and please come back to Boston with your next one. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.